ClubExpress New Accessibility Option. This video is an excerpt from a longer webinar about new features recently introduced by ClubExpress. Here we join the webinar, already in progress, for the section discussing accessibility and the new tools that you may want to enable for your organization.
Now let's talk about accessibility. There's a big question about how people who are differently abled can access and use your website as effectively as possible. And the group of abilities that we're talking about is actually quite wide. You've got people who are blind or visually impaired and who need a screen reader. You've got people who are motor impaired and can't use a mouse or a trackball, so they have to use a keyboard to navigate. There are people who might have epilepsy or color blindness, people with cognitive or learning disabilities, and seniors. You know, many of the clubs and associations running on ClubExpress have a high percentage of seniors who have difficulty using a typical website and finding all of the things that are going on. And there have been surveys that have been done that say that 20 to 25% of the population might have some difficulty using a typical website. The World Wide Web Consortium, which is W3C, has defined something called the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. And the recognized standard is something called version 2.1 level AA. Now, these guidelines are a massive document, I mean, hundreds of pages. And the Americans with Disabilities Act and other national and international laws all reference the WCAG 2.1 level AA as the recommended standard for handling accessibility. What's happened also is that there's now a group of people who are sending out demand letters and actually filing lawsuits against websites for non-compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act. There is some risk of liability for a website that is not compliant. Now, making a website compliant with these rules is very, very complex. There are some things that we can control, and we've done a fair amount of work already on ClubExpress to move towards compliance, but there are some things that are outside our control. When you create a homepage or a static web page, we don't have the ability to control what you put on the page and whether you make it compliant, whether you add alt text, for example, to your images. And so part of this initiative was to see if we could work with a partner to provide a higher degree of compliance for your websites. So we've partnered with a firm that provides a fully automated tool powered by artificial intelligence that will make any website WCAG 2.1 level AA compliant. And it seamlessly attaches to the website, and it's accessed by clicking an icon, or if a user has a screen reader, once that icon is active, when somebody comes to that website and presses Alt-1, the screen reader will issue a tone and that says that this tool is available. Now, let me show you the tool. I'm going to go to our main website. This is clubexpress.com. And you'll notice down here in the bottom right-hand corner, this little blue people icon. And when you click the icon, it pops up a screen, and this is provided by our partner. And the screen has a number of different profiles that are available. So for example, I can select a blind profile and it rings a tone and now says that this page of the website is accessible to blind users using a screen reader. But in addition to these profiles, there are also about 30 different specific adjustments that can be made. Let me go to a different page. I'll bring this up again. And I'm going to highlight titles. And you'll notice that the tool immediately puts a box around each of the titles. I'm going to highlight links, and it puts an orange box around each of the links. And you can see those here and here. And there's a whole range of tools. I can increase the size of the fonts. You can see I can make all of the fonts bigger. And the letter spacing, I can make color adjustments, dark contrast. Let's turn that one off. And there's a whole bunch of other color saturation and contrast options, and then orientations, animations, you can turn those off as well. And what the tool is doing on the fly is it's adjusting the HTML and the CSS for the website. In some cases, I guess even the JavaScript, it's adjusting it on the fly to make the page more accessible.
So Dan, there's a question as to whether or not this applies only to the current page or to the whole site.
Well, let me just show you. So let me turn that off, and I'm going to go to a different page. And you'll notice that as I move through the different pages, all of the changes are retained. So once you come to a site and you set the site up the way someone who's differently abled, they come to a site, they set the site up the way they want it. As you move through the site, all of those changes are still in effect. And what's really cool is that it's analyzing the site as you move from page to page on the fly. So there might be a slight delay, maybe a second or two, but it's making those changes on the fly, which also means that once you log in, normally a tool that would be analyzing a website, it doesn't have access to the parts of your website that are behind a username and a password. But in this case, once you log in, all of those pages will also be suitably adjusted. And I can also reset all of those settings as well and turn everything off. So this tool is available. So again, it has predefined profiles, more than 30 individual adjustments. You can actually change the language that the tool is using. As I said, it's using artificial intelligence to dynamically analyze the page. The settings are retained as users move around a site. And there's also an accessibility statement that ensures legal protection. So let me just show that to you as well. When I go to the website, you can click on the statement and it will give you a statement of compliance. And the company behind this will actually back you up legally. So it provides very strong protections against demand letters and against being sued by a troll who's trying to get you to pay them money because they claim that your website isn't accessible to them, or something like that. So they're adhering to the World Wide Web Consortium Web Content Guidelines 2.1 AA level, which is exactly what we talked about earlier. A tool this powerful does not come for free. The company that provides this charges $499 per year for a typical website. And we verified with them that ClubExpress websites fall within that price range. I mean, if you were running the Procter & Gamble website with thousands of pages, or United Airlines or something like that, it would be way more expensive. But ClubExpress websites are $490. But we've worked out a 10% discount with them. So we will charge you $439 per year. If any of you are interested in making this tool available on your website, just send an email to support@clubexpress.com. We'll run the charge. Basically, the whole process takes about 20 minutes. And then within 24 hours, they've done an initial analysis of the website and the tool is available immediately. We're pretty excited about this because we found a tool that really does everything that you need to make your website accessible. Now, generally, if you're a small cycling club or a car club, something like that, you probably don't need to worry about that. But if you're a professional or trade association, if you have a large number of seniors, for example, who might be accessing your website, if you're a club or association that people join through their personal lives, but it's a large organization, you might have members who are visually impaired. You should definitely explore this tool. And if you have any questions, talk to the support team. We'd be happy to answer them for you. So that's basically it for this part of the presentation. I guess this is a good time to go through some questions.
One of the questions is the accessibility option icon standard, and what would differently able people look for?
This is a standard icon. It is possible to change the position of it. We can move it to the top left corner or the bottom left corner. It is possible to change the icon, but that's something we haven't really explored in detail yet. I suppose if someone really desperately needed to do that, we could certainly do it. Apparently, because all three of the companies that we spoke to, having the icon floating in the bottom right-hand corner is somewhat of a standard. So that's what we're using right now.
Some people are very excited about the possibility of having the accessibility options enabled because they are accessibility advocates and such. So we're looking forward to see which organizations actually enable this new feature.
I do see a couple of questions. Someone was asking about the language option. The language option in the accessibility tool applies to the tool itself. It's not doing a language adjustment to the whole website or the current page that you're looking at. So if I click on English and change it to Deutsch, it's going to change the accessibility tool to German, but not the website itself. So I just wanted to clarify that for people. And I also saw a question for asking about trying out the accessibility tool. And I do want to make it clear that we're not able to offer trials on your website of the accessibility tool. That's unfortunately a limitation for the partner that we've chosen. But the tool is available on the ClubExpress website. So for those of you that want to explore it on your own, just go to clubexpress.com and you'll see the tool in the bottom right-hand corner. And you can certainly explore it. You can show it to your board of directors if that's necessary as well.